My name is Eric Osiakwan. I'm from Ghana. And 18 years ago, this gentleman here called Andre Obdo and a partner wrote me an email out of the blue and said, we're setting up this global entrepreneurs organization and we need an African partner. Would you like to be part of this? And at that time, I had started an organization in Ghana called the Ghana New Ventures Competition, where we help entrepreneurs from Ghana out of college to start their businesses. So that was my first encounter of Norway. We became really great friends. For 6 years, we built this amazing organization. And then we went separate ways. We never saw each other again. Then last year, I was invited by the Nordic Africa Business Association. They have an annual conference. And I was one of the speakers on the investing panel. And then I had forgotten about him actually, but I ran into him at a conference again. I said, I think I know this guy. So anyway, long story short, we caught up and then he realized that he had started a company in the travel space. And I had also invested in a company in the travel space. So we thought about collaborating, but it didn't hit off right away. And then in March this year, I was on the way to Berlin. And then we ran into each other at the airport. My bag was delayed and his flight was delayed. So we decided to sit down and architected a merger between my company that I invested in Senegal and his company here in Norway that had an office also in Kenya and Nigeria. So the reason I'm giving this story, we announced the merger this week at a big conference here called Catapult. So 3 days ago, we announced this merger between an African technology company and a European technology company. And the reason I give this story as an anecdote to my conversation is that together we now have the biggest travel technology company in the what they call the frontier markets. So we are going to be the biggest company in part of Europe, Africa, and then all of Asia. And so the first premise of what I want to put out is collaboration. That this house is all about collaboration. And by the way, the company Hotel Align is a member of the International House. So by default, I'm now a member of the International House. Because I'm a shareholder. So this is my new home as well. And actually this week, this is my third visit, right? I've been here every day since I've been here. So I've been getting acquainted. But the first premise of what I want to say is that you can build a lot of collaboration from here, either through your business, either through your investing, or through collaborating with other people that have something that you don't have and they need something that you have. And that's one way that you can make impact, right? So you may, even if you don't have the money, you may have a business that wants to expand into Africa. You may find somebody here that could be a partner for you. I met this gentleman a while ago and he told me that his company has sold 18 of his podiums to Africa. Two to Africa, sorry. He sold 18 in total, but 2 to Africa. And 1 to our president. 2 to our president in Ghana. So that's a business collaboration right there. So that's one way that he's making impact. And I think you can also do it. Either to partner with other businesses, or you can invest. You can invest in Norwegian companies that are expanding into Africa, because when they expand into Africa, they will make impact. They will employ people, they will create jobs, and they will make returns for you. Right? It's important that if you invest in a company, you make returns. The reason we merge our two companies is because we realize that together we become a global market leader. We will have much more bigger returns than if we were going to the market individually. So returns is very, very important. If you invest, you are going to make returns. Finally, I want to conclude with another story. In 2007, I got an email from a guy called lein-mathisen. He has a company called Meltwater in San Francisco. He's originally Norwegian. And he wanted to do his corporate social responsibility and chose Ghana. And what he wanted to do was help entrepreneurs start their businesses. So he wrote me out of the blue and I helped him set up what they now call the Meltwater School of Technology in Ghana, where they train young entrepreneurs who want to learn how to write software and start their companies. And today they've invested about $20 million in Ghana. They've expanded now into 5 other African countries. And they are essentially building the next generation of entrepreneurs across Africa. And he was also a speaker at the Catapult event that we were at 2 days ago. The final story is with the Catapult team that invited me here. I met them in New York through a common friend. And through that collaboration, they invited me to be a speaker at this year's event to talk about Africa and how Africa is the market of the 21st century. So, from the International House, you can have access to Africa. And you have access to me as a point. And you have Endre, if you need a trusted Norwegian to show you Africa, because he's lived 8 years now in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you.